All right, we're back with another Q&A video, an absolute favorite among viewers. Let me take the time to thank those of you for posting your questions for this video. Let's begin. Do made men who are in prison have to send Christmas tribute to the boss during the holiday season? It's definitely not expected, or at least it shouldn't be. If a guy wants to send in an envelope from whatever he's got going on in the street, that's on him. But typically, as mentioned, it's not expected. Which character did Joe Pesci more accurately portray? Tommy DeSimone in Goodfellas, Tony Spilotro in Casino, or Russell Bufalino in The Irishman? I didn't personally know any of the people he portrayed, so I couldn't really judge on accuracy. However, Tommy DeSimone, I believe, was a lot taller than Joe Pesci. At Christmas time, did guys ever exchange gifts or maybe get some time off? Or was it just like any other day? Some of us gave bottles of liquor at Christmas time. I used to buy everyone wine or their favorite bottle. The only person I bought an actual gift for was Johnny Sideburns, and it was a Fendi scarf. One day, I seen another guy wearing it. The prick regifted it. And as for days off, there are none in the mob. Given his ineptitude, why was Bubsy ever made acting underboss in the late 1990s? That's simple. Because everyone was in prison, and he had the shortest run for the position in history. And it's a position he'll never see in his lifetime again. How would you describe your own interest in organized crime beyond your own life experiences with it? Presently, aside from researching for videos or the blog, I have zero interest. Besides Thomas D'Ambrosio, did you know of anyone else in Paolo LaDuca's crew? I used to, but I can't remember who it was. I'm sure he had a few guys in his crew. What kind of crime were you involved in as a young man before your incarceration? Fireworks, extorting drug dealers, credit cards, and of course, possessing illegal handguns and shotguns. Regarding the Coglianesi, why would you say the relatives of the hundreds murdered don't take revenge on Lee and his sons? The Inzerillos, for example, why don't they hit the sons of Bagarella and others? I believe the main reason is what took place in the early 1980s was a long time ago, over 4 decades. I know Totorina has sons, but I don't think Leoluca Bagarella had any. The families of the victims most likely just want to live in peace and forget the past. Who paid for the Brooklyn faction's Christmas parties? Did Big John pay the bill, or was it split? After I first got straightened out, for the first few years, we all chipped in. And then near the end, by like 2016, 2017, Big John paid, surprisingly. Did Danny Katea ever keep in contact with any members of the Brooklyn faction after his release from prison? And was he also one of those people who deliberately didn't report to Big John? I only met Danny once when he came home, so I don't know who he was in contact with, and he never reported to Big John and eventually moved to Florida. Will the mob ever allow beards like the Yankees eventually did? Everybody has a beard nowadays. Well, in Italy and Sicily, members are allowed to have beards. So who knows? It's possible that one day the mob in New York might permit it as well. Which of the two underbosses would you describe as the most duplicitous to deal with? Stevie Crea or Patty? As far as Patty's concerned, although treachery is his middle name, he was only just made a captain at the end of my time in that life. Stevie, on the other hand, was our underboss. And I think his history speaks for itself in regard to being underhanded. Is Richie DeLuca a Jersey guy? I remember a few DeLucas with the family you were affiliated with. Richie has since passed away, and he was the captain of the Jersey crew. I remember him telling me that he shopped at Stu Leonard's in New Jersey. Also, when his daughter passed away, her wake was held in New Jersey. So I always assumed that he lived in the state, although I don't know where he grew up, but I doubt it was New Jersey. During your time, did you ever meet Mark Granato? I believe he's Kevin's brother. Do you know if he's a Gambino member? I never met him. I know Kevin Granato was originally around the Colombos before he went to prison. When he got out, the Gambinos straightened him out, which turned into a big issue because for some reason, the Luccheses felt he was with them and that the Gambinos poached him. Who is the go-to attorney for wise guys these days? Formerly, it was Gerald Chargel, hands down. I agree. But unfortunately, Chargel passed away. I think the following are who guys go to: Jeffrey Lichman and Joseph Carrazzo. John Marangolo, a lot of guys used, but he too passed away. Was it expected when you and other made guys ate at a very fine restaurant to get the dinner comped? Or would you be offended to get a bill at the end of the dinner? No, we always paid. Sometimes an owner would send over drinks or dessert. Diane Giacalone outed Willie Boy Johnson as an informant when he refused to testify, which eventually led to him being killed. I also heard that while John Gotti Jr. was on the street, the FBI leaked his 302s, putting his life in danger. Why would anyone, knowing the underhandedness of the government, volunteer to put their life on the line when all it takes is to upset one or more agents who will just throw you to the wolves? Good point. And I agree about the government and the agents. But on the same note, can't we say the same thing about the mob? I put my life in their hands, knowing their underhandedness as well. Diane Giacalone, without question, got Willie Boy killed and fully knew that by exposing him, that's exactly what he faced. And I still say she should have been held accountable. I don't know if John Jr. was out on the street when his 302s were exposed. What I do know is there could be only one person who could have leaked the paperwork, and that was none other than former agent Ted Otto. The person he gave them to is a dear friend of his and a widely known enemy of John Jr. Did you chase Peter Pan because he wasn't a good earner for you, or was he too much of a headache, or a little of both? To start with, when he was given to me, I was doing Joe Cafe a favor, and along with him came a stream of headaches. The bananas just cracked him in the face and were looking to kill him. As for money, Peter Pan was broke and never made a nickel. The reason I chased him was because more and more he became a liability. But the greatest ending to that story is when he comes home from prison, he now is someone else's headache. And I'll make a prediction. Inside of 5 years, he becomes an informant. Why would I make such a prediction? Right before he went to prison, he was doing something that goes totally against the grain. I'll keep it to myself for now. This next person is inquiring about guys who are killed for robbing or not kicking up, basically skimming. How does one know that you're robbing the family? Everything comes out in the wash. People are not stupid, and more importantly, people talk. If you're making X amount of money and only kicking up the bare minimum, it's obvious you're skimming or holding back money that's supposed to be kicked up. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. And for the final, I'm going to combine two questions. In the past, you spoke about clearing up your record so you can have voting rights. I haven't looked into it yet, but at some point, I would like to be able to vote again. Do people recognize you in public from your YouTube channel and other interviews that you've been on? Do they approach you for autographs and to take pictures? If not, how would you handle that if it happened? I always can tell when someone recognizes me, and my experience have been that people are respectful, but more crucially for me is they give me my space. I'm not a celebrity, nor do I consider myself one, and no one has ever asked me for my autograph. As far as pictures, I don't want to take any. If someone was to approach me, I'd be respectful. However, I definitely will treat you according to your actions. So here's my advice. Keep it respectful, and we both could go about our business.